Hey everyone, Maury Curtis Dunbar here, back at Painted Studio, hopefully on the right page now. I went live on my personal page, which is not what I intended to do. So let's get me over to my business page so I can see if I'm actually live here and I can see what's going on and answer questions. Yay, I'm live. Good grief. That's annoying as heck. Oh, all right. Let's turn the comments on and I'm here. Okay, so yesterday, let me turn my camera a little bit. Yesterday, we worked on the highlights here. Today, we're going to drop in the shadows. We also worked on these little medallions, or I did earlier today, putting in some of the little highlights. Now I'm going to show you how we drop in the shadows, and we're going to have some fun with that. Give me a chance, let me zoom in here so you can actually see what I'm doing. Let's see, crop and zoom. Let's see if this gets me closer. That should get you in right here. And then I'm going to pull this forward a little bit because it needs to be closer to me as well. All right, so as you can see, we put in all the highlights on here. They're all completed. Now I need to do the shadow. So I actually created a color here. I used some of our Roberson's liquid metals in dark blue and steel to get a bluish shadow. So that's how we're going to go in from this now. I'm going to use one of my liner brushes. This is a Princeton art liner. I cannot see. This is a size 4. I use it constantly. I use a whole bunch of liner pens all the time for these. It's very, very useful. Now I'm going to dip into my paint, and I'm just dipping the tip. And like in other things, you usually see me rolling the paintbrush into the paint to get more paint on here. But this, I'm just dipping the tip because I don't want to overwhelm. Now I'm going to start the way I should have started yesterday. Let me pull this even a little closer so that you can see a little better. I'm going to drop this camera down just a hair. Hopefully that doesn't make it so that you're now looking at my feet. And that's exactly what it did. I am really bringing the camera in close for this, so let's give me a second. I have to adjust this by hand and watch my own screen to make sure that you can actually see what I'm doing. And since there's a little lag, it takes a second. Okay, we're up close now. All right, so you can see all these highlights have been dropped in, and they were dropped in with, I think, platinum, Roberson's platinum. And now I'm going to come in and do the shadows. So wherever there's a highlight, basically there has to be a matching shadow. And the nice thing about doing this is it cleans up some of where the little bleeds are. Oh, sorry, you're getting my hair in there. That's not very helpful. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to shift the position of the camera so you're not looking at my head, but you are looking at the piece. Now give me a second while we adjust this to make sure you're actually seeing it and getting a good clear vision. Yeah, this lag with using this camera takes a second, so I apologize. Okay, now you should be able to see what I'm doing without the back of my head being in the camera, but this is close-up work. Okay, so I'm dipping into the paint. I'm coming down and going opposite any place that I had a highlight. I'm dropping in a shadow. And the shadows can be subtle. They don't have to be super dark. They don't have to be like a black line. This is why I created a blue-gray that's darker, because I just wanted to make sure there's a little hint of shadow. And while it doesn't look like much now, it ends up giving a great deal of detail once it's done. Let's come back in here. Now I usually work from the top right side down and work over in panels so that because I'm left-handed, I don't want my hand to drag through, because yeah, it will. I've done it plenty of times. Takes a little practice to get used to doing it this way. So we're going to come back in here, drop shadows there. So really, I'm putting a shadow any place I might have, opposite of any place I might have placed a highlight. So if I've got a highlight here, I'm going to put a little shadow here. If I've got a highlight here, I'm going to put a shadow there. So let's go. Maybe a little low for you to be seeing everything I'm doing, but my hand will move up in just a sec. All right. And it takes practice. Now, normally I wouldn't tell somebody who's trying to do this first off to pick a pattern this complex. It can get really, really overwhelming. For me, it's pretty common, and then I come back and I squint at it and I go back and eyeball the whole thing to see if I miss stuff, because, you know, everybody misses something. But what it does is it provides really nice visual texture for a piece, and it's something I've always liked since I learned this technique. I always found that it made everything pop to do a little bit of highlight and low lights on stuff, or highlights and shadows, not low lights. So we're going to do about half of this tree. I've already completed, I've already done the highlights, I should say, on the top. I'm going to do the shadows after we're off the live, because it's a lot of details that, it's a lot of sitting watching me do this. And unless you love watching somebody paint a lot of little tiny lines, it's not terribly exciting. But it's a great learning technique right now, and I wanted to share it with you all. And you've seen me do this before on other things. Heck, you might have even seen me do this before on this particular stencil, since it's one I use a lot. Let's get here. Okay, let me take a look and see what I've missed, because I always miss something. Yep. Kind of jumped around a little bit on this, which I don't normally do. Normally I'm a little more focused. Unfortunately, talking does not help me focus, so I have to go back in and check my own work. Let's see. All right, so I've got this half done. And I really should, let me get up to here, and then that'll call that half. And then we'll do the small details in here. Okay, so we've got this all shadowed here, so you should be able to get a little bit of a better idea. Pull this around so you can see a little bit. Let's see if I got that in focus. Probably not. Let's move that a little bit. There you, bring it over closer. Okay, so move this way. There you go. So now you can see here, this side has the shadows, this side only has the highlights. So again, we're getting a little more three-dimensional depth. Now we're going to use this little teeny, this is like a couple eyelashes brush, because these details in here are very, very small. Dipping into the paint again. Let's see if I can do this without getting my head in it. Pull my hair out of the way so you're not watching my hair. Okay. Let's come up here. So we'll get this and this. This spot up here. There we go. Alright. Come in here. Little tiny shadow there. I fight with the camera because I'm left-handed, so if I came in and painted from this side, my whole arm and hand would be over everything and you'd never see a darn thing. You know, it's easier when I'm sitting at the table and painting straight down. So doing it like this sometimes gets a little challenging and you have to be a little patient while I figure out the camera angle. All right, so I'm going down just a little lower to the bottom here. And we're going to drop these shadows in here. And so we get a much more three-dimensional look on the whole tree. So if you look at it now, you see much more detail looking on this side than on this side that only has the highlights. Now I'm going to turn this a little bit and we're going to work on getting the part that I need here, right here in focus. So you can see right here, let me move this a little closer to the center. It's gonna be a little hard for me to paint because it's an odd angle for me, but the camera, at least you guys can see what's going on. So as you see these little medallions, they were right here, over here. Now let me open that up a little so you can see. So here, over here, we still haven't painted these highlights in, but we have done some along this area. So I'm going to show you how we drop the shadows in here with the same little tiny brush and the same blue-gray paint that we created for the other tree shadows. And we're going to come in, and just as the highlights here, we got to go opposite. And most of the time this is almost just touching the brush to the surface because these areas are so small. That almost gives it a little sparkling effect. Now right here, since we've got that highlight there, we need to drop the shadow in down here. And then everything is opposite where the highlight is. And truly, again, these are such small little patterns, you're basically just kind of dotting it in. Okay. So now you've got how we do that. And let me slide back. Open up the camera wide. Slide me back and slide me into your faces. So we're going to keep it very, very simple today. Whoops, I don't want to slide that back too far. Okay, I want to make sure you can see me. This is much easier when I'm sitting at my table. I don't have to move things around so much. So thank you for your patience when I go in and out here on our table, on this little piece. Working on the floor isn't always the easiest thing here to get a good camera angle in, no matter what I try. But you can see we've got highlights and shadows here. We've got the highlights and shadows here. And if you just look at it, even from a distance, this side has way more dimension than this does because this only has the highlights on it. This has the shadows too. This has the shadows, this only has the highlights, and clearly these spots have nothing. So there's plenty left for me to do. All right, everyone, have a wonderful afternoon. Just a heads up, we have our order from Whitson's coming in the next 2 weeks. So we will have the Whitson's Superior Bonding Primer for hard to bond surfaces coming in, and we will have the Whitson's Leaf Lacquer coming in, which is a fantastic leaf product. We're going to be doing some gilding projects. I ordered these. They're going to go into my home. As you can see, they're little birds. So we're going to be using all of the Roberson's adhesive on here. We're going to be using the Whitson's Leaf Lacquer on here. So the Roberson size, gold leaf size, I mean. So we're gonna create some really cool stuff with these two. And if you look, there's a little bird in them. I thought these were awfully cute. So we've got lots of projects coming in, and our social media guru Miguel has been working like crazy to create short videos and all kinds of fun stuff. So keep an eye out. Let me know what you want to see more of, and we will work on doing some of that too. Do not forget, May, product of the month, is texture medium. Until the end of this month, it is 20% off with code TEXT20 at checkout. Don't miss this. It won't be going on sale like this again for a long time. So go enjoy the discount, go create something beautiful, and I will see you all tomorrow. Have a good one, everybody. Thanks, and thanks for your patience with me. All right, bye-bye.